We're good.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 6th work session of Laurel School Board. Ms. Conrad, will you take roll call?
You don't take the roll call.
Right, just
I know, but, the only one I'm not sure is Mr. Parker online.
Mr. Parker, I don't believe is on.
He comes online. Can you let me know?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mr. Nibon might give you that later.
thank you.
We have recognition of guests. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Next week, we'll have recognition of meeting. Next, we will do the Pride and Promise. Mr. Swervely, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, we're gonna honor, the 3 students who qualified for nationals and academic games. And also just, Mrs. Dean, the work of the, and really done well done. Did a great job. There was 1 student from middle high school that qualified and then 2 at elementary.
That's good. What games did they qualify?
I'd have to go back and check that.
Mr. Parker.
Pleasure here. Item number 3, reports from standing committees. I think that was one mention about interview.
Yes, we will have interviews Tuesday with the athletic committee for the cheerleading advisor position, and we should have a name by Wednesday next week. Laura Bress also asked you, you said she was going to speak at this meeting tonight.
I think that was the
Right.
request.
Before we go to the administrative points, do you want to?
No, that's fine. Ms. Brett?
That's good.
This is good.
Okay.
Everyone.
Yeah, he wants to.
Everyone.
I had emailed you again. I don't know if you saw that or not, like this afternoon.
I did not see it like this.
Okay, so, you can take one of these and pass it around. I made a change on there, so I just sent it to you. So my name's Laurel Brett. I, have 2 kids in the school district that are only in 5th and 6th grade. We lived in the district for 15 years, and I am a teacher in the Black Hawk School District, and I also have a degree in teaching and curriculum. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm here today to discuss changing the 8-point grading scale to a 10-point grading scale. And I gave you a list of advantages and disadvantages of both. And I understand that the Laurel School District has used that for a really long time. I'm not sure when it started, but a lot of people were like, that's what I used when I went there. So I think it's been here a long time. That's all I really know. So
I'm not gonna date myself.
at the top,
We changed.
It was, for the record, it was mid-80s.
Yeah.
okay, all right.
19, not 18.
So at the top of the paper that did everybody get one? I have one. You need one?
Every board member had it.
Okay, all right, I have more. At the top is just a snippet of what it was part of the handbook. So that's the grading scale that we use now. And then next to it is the 10-point system that I am proposing to change to. So for the 8-point, the advantages, I said that, it pushes students to definitely work harder. And then I listed some of the disadvantages. A big disadvantage is that they're at a disadvantage for college applications, any kind of future preparation, definitely grants. Their GPAs are different compared to other schools. It doesn't align to the school districts in our area. On the back side is a list of the schools, colleges, and school districts at the top. I obviously did not look up every school. I'm sure that I missed one. Maybe you know of another school that uses it. I also want to say I didn't omit any school just to make it look better for what I'm presenting to you. I actually just didn't find one. So I just wanted to share that. I know I only have a 5th and 6th grader, but it's a lot of stress for them, even if they're young age, for the grading scale. They feel it a lot. They stress out about it. I'm not sure why, because I don't, I'm not concerned. My concern is that they understand what they're learning, not what their report card is showing. So I can only imagine what high school students are feeling as far as going forward and knowing that these things are depending on how they're going to move forward in their future choices. And then I listed on the front and bottom just the disadvantages of the 10-point system. Some people might say it makes us look like we're lowering our standards. I would disagree. I think that, we're making it an even playing field for our students. They would have a greater eligibility for grants and scholarships. It would promote positive self-esteem. Students might be more willing or want to try AP classes if they know that the threshold is 90% for an A. And I know that recently we changed the weighting of grades, and I know that a lot of parents aren't really excited about it now that it's kind of been going. So this might alleviate some of that and maybe be positive for some parents, to help with that. And then the last thing that I wanted to say was that the grading scale really doesn't determine the rigor of what the kids are learning here. The curriculum is what determines the rigor. So I don't, I really see the advantages to changing to a 10-point system, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say and feedback.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you said this or not, is it in here countywide, I figured that's where.
Like I said, I didn't look up. I didn't look at every school.
That's plenty.
I didn't. The one I know Laurel's by themselves. It wasn't to make myself and what I want that look better. I couldn't find one, and the ones that I looked up anyways.
Yes.
Anybody have a question?
Well, I have a question. Is this something that the administration, or is this something that the curriculum committee would discuss, or how does that work?
So for example, the curriculum committee,
Who's, I know I'm chair, but there's two other folks. Does anybody know that?
Yeah. So the curriculum committee could meet
Bobby, you're on.
with the administration to certainly discuss any curricular issues, including grade point. I think a grading scale. I think that if there is an interest by the board to further investigate any and all curricular changes, including grade scale, that the method would be first to discuss with the administration, gain some perspective, and then as chair, and then that might help you form some type of agenda for a curriculum meeting.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm interested. So we'll hold a curriculum committee meeting and go from there.
So I would encourage Mr. Frangel, Mr. Swerbley, and Mrs. Columbus in particular to send like 3 dates to Lance and at least have a brainstorming session that might be able to form some type of agenda. I think a meeting without an agenda is going to be just wonders.
Thank you.
Lance, while you're looking at that 10-point scale, you're gonna look at the AP, the 95, 5, like that also?
Yeah. I honestly, I think we anticipated probably some growing pains with the weighting system. I think we definitely, I hate to use best of intentions, because boy, that's the worst thing you can ever say, because that doesn't make up for anything. But just like in a college atmosphere, not that college is for everybody, but especially the students that these weights are affecting are by far the students that are gonna, to be heading towards a secondary education of college of some sort. And I think what we're trying to do, what the thought was, is, You know, if you 99% of your college courses, they're not gonna be like, well, as long as you turn, you know, you do a bunch of classwork, they don't care if you're there or not. Unless things change, it's how are you doing on your assessments? They don't care if your book's still in the cellophane, how did you do on your assessment? So we don't want to be that, you know, that brutal with the students, but at the same time, you know, we wanted a philosophy where assessments need to matter more than classwork. So what is the fine line? The last thing we want to do is alienate or discourage kids from taking AP courses. If that's the, you know, the leaning that it's become, then, you know, at the same time, when we're discussing the 10-point scale, you know, are there certain things that you know, sure, there always are certain things you can do, but I think the methodology and the method of the madness, so to speak, was to make sure that assessments are the major component of any student's grade in a given year. The last thing we want to hear is that is now dissuading kids from taking, you know, AP classes and so forth. And we don't want to hear that. And if that's the case, you know, certain
I
things.
think we also talk to other parents, not just AP kids, but your regular, not even just honors, like all ranges.
Right, yeah, but
The
far
all
and away,
ranges.
as far as Facebook and text messages, it's the students that are in the accelerated classes. And which makes sense, but I'm not, you know, trust me, I'm not gonna tell you what percentile I graduated in, but it's not what we're discussing now. So, so I don't wanna, you know, be prejudiced towards them, but yeah, I mean, we want something that's fair, but definitely, you know, the snapshot of the student's GPA, and especially when they're going to college, we want it to be an accurate picture of how well they're comprehending their work. You know, I think that's huge, but at the same time, you know, we don't want to dissuade anybody.
If I can say something too, my son, he's on honors and he's struggling with one class and he failed miserably, one assessment. And when I spoke with the teacher, we had a meeting and basically my son, he told us that there's no way, he failed his second quarter, that there's no way that by the end, even by the end of the year, that he's gonna end up with an A or a B. So my son is now completely discouraged that he can't even get there, you know? So there has to be some way these
Well,
teachers.
You know, just that, I don't think that would have anything to do with the weighting, because if you just look at it, you know, four quarters. So let's say that your son had a 55% or a 60, because I think on the 8-point scale, what is it, 62 Stalin?
65.
He had 59 in the second quarter.
Okay, so if you look at it that way, 59, if you take 4 plus a final, so let's say that he even got a C on the final, that would probably, you know, be fair to assume as long as he got the rest of 59, so that's 1/4 of the weight of all the 9 weeks. I mean, that is, you know, I don't know, what was his first 9 weeks?
I think it was a B.
Yeah, so if you take a 59 and then an 84, you're still down
I mean,
in the high
he went
60s, so it
every
would be tough,
morning.
but I don't want to, you know.
And he just, there has to be a way these kids don't feel defeated.
Well, and I wanted to add too, you know, we've come up with 18 months of really not optimal learning. And, you know, for the teachers, for the kids, this grading scale has been this way for a long time, but you made 2 other changes back to back that has really affected, especially the junior class. My son has been, and I know a lot of them here, has been at high, over 4 points. And he struggled with the same exact class that her son had struggled with. And when we started investigating, we realized there's over half the class that's failing this. And our kids are being said, you know, why are you guys working at lunchtime? What's going on? Everybody was working really hard at this class. And some teachers we're finding are giving extra assignments, quizzes that will help with that weightedness. This particular one wasn't. Now I've spoken with him. My son dropped the AP and went to the regular, and he's doing much better. But I don't know how it's going to play out in his GPA at the end. And he's really worked hard for that. Then you add in the fact that he's a National Honor Society who increased their rigors where you don't just pass with an 80, but you have to pass with an 83. And now, okay, let's say he gets that taken away. This year, right now, all of these years he's worked for a scholarship that's gonna mean a lot. So there, when you guys meet, you probably need to make some adjustments for this year's class of juniors. And if you do your homework, you'll see this year's juniors class, they are very competitive. They have been a lot of high honors kids. They take their work serious. As soon as my son dropped that honors class, all of his other grades came right back up. He had been spending so much time. And I'm just saying, this teacher was not being very accommodating, and he has a history of it. I have 4 boys, 3 have already gone through, 1 that's in college right now for civil engineering, and he's taken high level of these classes, and he said he's a hard one to learn from, and he's a hard one to work with. So I just think that there needs to be some consideration. I mean, I don't know who decided to do all these changes at once on the back of COVID, where kids were learning here, there, and everywhere. Obviously, they didn't get a good base the last couple of years to be able to handle this class when you have that many kids that are struggling with the class. So there needs to be some adjustment. Like, you know, I'll just say, if my son loses his National Honor Society, I'm definitely going to be blaming the teacher more than I'm going to be blaming him, because I watch him.
If I can interrupt.
And I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I am addressing this one.
So in any event, you signed up to speak, you gave your address, heard some feedback from the is there any 5 went to 12 minutes with the combined comments?
I just have one more comment.
Sure.
The other thing was, as far as admissions, I did reach out to a couple colleges and I did not hear back. So maybe they weren't comfortable, but I did ask them, you know, when you look at students that are at this 8-point, you know, system, are you comparing that? Are you know, like showing, I'm trying
So
to
I work
collaborate.
part-time for college and work with the admissions.
Mhm.
Because every school district is a little bit different. Here's what and including weights.
Okay.
Here's the way the college that I worked with did it. I'm not saying that's how everybody does it, but they're probably more similar. Transcript, on every transcript, there's a grading scale. Okay? So now they convert everything to 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay? For some who does percentages, who does grades, etc. They eliminate all weights. Okay? So now they look at core courses, preparatory courses, those types of things. They would come out with an institutional GPA. So, for example, a student might think that they have a 3.5. Okay? You have a 3.5 from your high school, but you don't have a 3.5 in that setting because you take out less rigorous electives, you take out weights, and then it was that institutional GPA that therefore they awarded institutional aid. So I do believe there is some type of platform that each university uses. But to your end, obviously they're looking at the grading scale, and ours is a 92. So if they see a 90 Laurel, that would be a 3, where a 90 at North Allegheny would be a 4, to your point.
The last thing is my email is at the bottom of the back page. So if you need anything or any questions, reach out to me. Thank you for your time.
So the LRA didn't sign up, but they gave us notification. Rainey, I believe, has an introduction she wanted to make. I apologize.
For 5 minutes as well.
Well, 5 turned into 12, so 3 might turn into 9. I don't know.
My name's Rainey Pasco. I'm representing the Laurel Recreation Association. I'm one of the directors. Also with me is Brenda Lesson. She's also one of the directors. And we have our president here, Bill O'Brien. So today, we wanted to come to the board with some concerns for McCaslin Field. So I think that when you look back on the history of the maintenance of the field, there hasn't been a whole lot done. And I think at this point, we pretty much dressed it up as much as we could. Every spring, we've drug it, we've done things the best we could to get it playable for our little ones. And I think we're to the point now where we need to do some changes. A couple things that we are looking to partner with the school. One thing would be to help with the drainage. The drainage right now, I don't know if there is any drainage at all. I know that there is a plan to fix some of the drainage on the one side where the house is adjacent to the field. I know there's a plan for that, but I don't know if that'll solve the problem in the outfield. So it's really soupy out there. So when the girls, we start our season April 25th. It's a little early, but we've been doing it for years. And I do know that once the girls step foot out there, it's going to be soupy. In the past, I know last year there was a tractor that was stuck and caused some ruts. So it becomes a safety concern for our little ones as well, especially if the grass gets a little higher. So what we'd like to propose is some drainage into the field, however that works out. We did get some proposals for drainage from both Brian Fedruzzi and also the infield needs some work as well. So we did get some proposals from, of course, Chris Collier.
Do you have copies of those?
We do. Yeah, we didn't print everything out for everyone because honestly, it didn't make sense.
Others, can you reference our conversation this morning?
Yes, I talked to Mr. Rich this morning.
We're gonna take care of getting all the information, so.
Right. So at this point, as an organization, a few other things with the fencing, we did get a proposal for the fencing as well. With the wetness of the field, a lot of the posts that the fencing was put in is all rotted. So if you do go to press on the fencing, at some point it falls over, or at least pushes. So it does become a big safety concern for anyone that plays there. And this school is, I think for Laurel, I mean, we have a great softball organization. So as these girls go up and, from the LRA, we are trying to build a program. We want the coaches to be excited about coaching. We want the players to be excited about playing, and we want them to have a nice field to play. So having a field that's attractive as well, and also something that we can utilize all whenever the season is going on is important for us too. So number one would be the drainage, also the field maintenance. We're also looking at the fencing, and then possibly if anything else as far as the dugouts, but that would be more or less than the safety for us.
To go off of what she's talking about, last year and beginning of this year also, we're using playing ground. So we're not even in the school district using a filled out playing ground just so the girls can practice. So we're playing games out there. So, to be back in Laurel would actually be what we want.
That's true.
Right.
We've gotten, New Wilmington has graciously given us use of the Pollock Field playground, and we utilized that last year and this year.
So under the heading crawl, walk, and run, I know there was a meeting with Ed and Mark in November, right?
Yes, we did speak to them. Yeah.
Okay, and there was some action taken at that time. We are, Snowbat has been charged with approaching the neighbor with a couple options because we are going to deforest, if you will. So there is not overhang onto our property one, but more importantly, so that Brian can properly excavate and put stones in there so we have appropriate drainage from the runoff to the other side. Because there are times, I used to have pictures where a bad April shower before you did that unclogging a few years ago, the varsity outfield and the McCaskey field outfield would be underwater. So it's not that bad. We still need to do that work there, okay? Ed and I met with a civil engineer relative to property lines and our options. And we're gonna work with our neighbor and see what they want to do. If we cut back the trees relative to our line, do they still want the trees up or do they want them down? If they want them down, we're gonna do it, with our funds. So some options there. As far as then the next progressions, again, as we talked today, let's look at the comprehensive needs and then we can come up with a mutual plan. As far as what's been done in the last half dozen years or so, the varsity baseball field has had some infield improvements, if you will. The old varsity baseball field, which is now the junior high field, has had some significant work. The former varsity softball field, which is now the junior high softball field, is, I want to say, currently under construction, but significant work has been made. The varsity softball field is has had some improvements made to it as well. So it's an LRA field, obviously, but we'll look forward to seeing what the needs are and how we can partner to solve problems. Those are all little kids.
And one last thing that I wanted to add to, last year we had a challenging year with the cafeteria field being under construction. So that prompted us to look elsewhere for fields. This year, with the potential of the work that Brian is going to do, is that something that's going to hinder us from playing on our current McCaslin field?
I don't anticipate that. If and when that becomes a problem as we get down the road, you know, but I'm not anticipating it right now.
Because right now, we have a little bit more of a concern too with being able to get on the fields. I know our 12U team has not had an outside practice yet. Our 10Us and 8Us have been going to Pollock to play just because we haven't had a field. Junior high, I know with Albert, he has every single night from 5:30 to 7. So for us to be able to share and try to schedule, we'd like to see something else for that as well. That's a possibility for junior high to play more on varsity, for that cafeteria field to be more accessible to us. But I'm not sure how that would work. That could we basically have one field until basically the middle of May.
That's pretty much true. I mean, we have to take care of progression. Varsity first, right?
Right.
Junior high, right? That'd be 7 through 12 are the guys with the PIA. And then, you know, quite frankly, the LRA would fall in line.
So the best thing would be to get this from as good as we can get it.
Agreed.
If we're not
But
gonna
is
be able to
varsity
schedule.
just for varsity?
Till the season is over.
Right, which takes us sometimes pretty late, but.
Well, we don't want them to lose. We want
No, we want it. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I thank you all, and we will get some documentation as far as proposals.
Thank you. I know you got my emails.
Quick question, so you guys don't use Spartan Park anymore?
Don't get out of that road. That's baseball.
Yeah,
Baseball
right.
pays a ton to be there.
Right now,
Yeah,
baseball has-
basically
Baseball
it's-
has 13 teams
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
so we,
We've looked at every angle.
and we
Yeah,
only have
exactly.
one field without a mound. We have 4 7-8 teams and 4 2-ball teams allowing just with them.
So even to have
So it's
softball
tight.
over there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they
it's
wouldn't
good.
have enough for us to even be over there with our 6. We included one more team this year. We did 68 for the little ones. So we even had one more team. than we usually have.
Gotta get that. Softball more than baseball, because they used to put the t-ball side of it. And it's really wasted. Wasted time for the girls. So, yeah, we've looked at softball.
That's a player they watched.
Exactly.
Is it customary for most schools to have both the varsity and the junior high field? I thought that most of them have just one that they use for both. I'm trying not to throw stones, but for sticks, but.
Opinions.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
And I think that was more than 3 minutes. Thank you. Thanks. I'd also like to comment one way Laurel is different is that everyone comes in, family, friends, and neighbors, speaks their mind civilly, which is a lost art in this country, and leaves family, friends, and neighbors, and might even have a dissenting opinion. So congratulations to all of you for that type of civicness. No, that's it. I think we're already done. Thank you, Mr.
Four, Evan. Mr. Sager.
Month of March, we got through our bus evacuation, that was on the 17th, and we got 2. Working on still training new people and certifying my licensed drivers. Working on general maintenance repair. Keeping up with the fleet. I'll be extended. All
The buses, where are we at with the new buses?
She was gonna talk about that in her report.
Okay, then
Stay tuned.
I will, I won't change the channel.
Any additional questions for Mr. Sager? Ed?
Before I begin with my report, I just want to let you know the health inspector was here at both cafeterias. They both got a clean bill of health this past month. So hats off to the ladies, they do work hard. We replaced the second bladder tank in the elementary basement this past month. Mr. Rich and I spoke quite some time ago, and with the lead time of getting product, we finally got that. Thank goodness. We had the air handlers on the elementary roof replaced October of 2020. They're working well. This past summer, we noticed some issues bringing the company in. Unfortunately, when we gave them the order for it, they shut down for COVID. Couldn't get fired back up. They changed their product lines. They were a little different than we expected. They didn't have a makeup air handler as big as we anticipated. I've been working with Rennick for several months and got Mr. Ritson here regarding that, and I repaired them last month in March. So, back on it. We also have been struggling with prepping softball and baseball fields. The weather's been rough. We got a few games in. Unfortunately, it was another rough day, but I've always wondered what Dave Smith always talked about hard pain. Always talking about hard pain. Nothing up here drains. So,
Brady just said
we're moving forward, getting the spring sports in a little at a time.
Any additional questions for her? Cole?
With the weather getting nicer on some days, we've been trying to focus on positive behaviors. At the elementary, a big awards assembly for the end of the year. We give some big prizes away for being safe, kind, and responsible. Knock on wood, the office referrals have been lower for the month of March. Waiting to get the official letter from the Bureau of Special Education, but I'm very excited to say that our cyclical monitoring is complete and 100% compliant. So excited about that. Right now, currently, me and Mr. Rich are working on the special education plan that goes to the state. This year, we've had an increase in early intervention, which means the kids that are in preschool coming to us with IEPs, slight increase in those numbers. And IEP progress reports, parents can look for those. They're getting mailed out this week to report on the third 9 weeks.
Any questions from this stuff? Okay.
March was pretty busy for us at the elementary. We did our musical preview, and of course, prior to COVID, one of the things we've been doing was taking the kids up to the middle high school here to actually see it on stage. They used to come down, the students would come down and put on a small little skit for them like in the gym, but it's much nicer to get them up to the high school and have the whole school up here and they got to see a preview, so that was nice to do that for the kids. We had our spring pictures. Clark's do their spring pictures a little different. It's really nice. They everything's online. Parents order them, pictures come to the house, so it's a nice process there. We had our Fine Arts Festival and choral concert, which turned out nice. It was great to see the kids perform. It was also great to see all their artwork kind of around the school again and having the parents come through. It's always a well-attended event. We also had our 5th grade health ed day and career day, talking to the kids, and we also, Mrs. Nate Batistos did some career exploration with us 5th graders as well during that day. As I said at the beginning, we had some 2 students qualify for national academic games at the elementary and 1 at the middle high school. And then we also completed our 3rd benchmark, which is the last one we'll do before the PSSAs, and seeing some promising growth there. So definitely made some great strides and keep pushing through to the tests.
Question for Dan. Mark?
At the middle high school, the varsity L came to me about putting on a dodgeball tournament to raise money for the Miracle League. So we took a Friday morning, students in grade 7 through 12 put teams together, and we went down to the gym and had a tournament. They raised over $1,100 for the Miracle League to put in the fields for physically disabled children. The FFA just recently on Saturday had their toy show. Parking lot was packed, the gyms were packed. Really good turnout for that. I think they raised over $5,000 for that. And Monday and Tuesday, I was at the state workshop. I'm on the committee for the next generation science standards, how we're going to unpack those and unroll those to schools across. So we did a lot with building lessons and building activities for people to use to unpack those standards. So we'll see.
I did have one question. Did you have any communication with Dan Bailey on the fentanyl program?
We have not talked to Dan recently. It's kind of, things have kind of slowed down.
Any additional questions for Mr. Brennan? Oh,
Like Dan mentioned, we had the elementary art show and choral concert. It was very nice. A lot of artwork up. Very nice attendance of parents and families that came through. At the high school level, we had the musical, The Cinderella. What was really nice was on the first night, they would have done it all 3 nights, but the weather didn't cooperate. They actually had the horse-drawn carriage, and the gentleman wore a white suit with the top hat, and the little girls came in their princess gowns and got to ride around the school before it started. It was cute. I've had a couple school improvement attendance meetings with families and students, trying to keep them in the building, trying to get through all of the attendance issues that we had during COVID. We and both buildings had our monthly meetings of data, reviewed the benchmark testing. In elementary, we did our IST meetings, and in high school, we did our core meetings. Currently, PTO is collecting change for the Ukraine relief effort. They started, I believe, last week. Actually, donations could be made from March 24th to April 8th. I just got an update before I left work today that to date they've raised $582.
any questions? Mr. Lee?
All right, we'll continue to work through the E-rate process. It's been a little bit complicated this year. They've made some changes and they have most certainly scrutinized applications much more closer than they had in the past. Continue to prepare for the spring assessments. I know Mrs. Hill was extremely excited to know that we worked through the challenges we had with our PIMS reports so that there would be pre-coded labels this year. So we had some issues, but we're in good shape. And I got to give a big kudos once again to Mrs. McBride, who has worked tirelessly to clean up our data and work through the processes. Part of my responsibilities for district assessment coordinator, Mr. Rich had asked me to work through an assessment resource page, digitizing and standardizing the protocols we have in place. And what I did was I took a document that if a monitor was coming from the Department of Education, and I modified that and made certain that we touch all those bullets. So I'll give you an example. If we didn't have something in place for protocols and procedures in the event of a snowstorm, or it would happen, or the event of a student suffering illness, or any type of event that would come up, there's actually a playbook for that now, and we fill it in the blanks. And then, like I said, Mrs. McBride's been great. We've been working through some challenges. I think our data is getting clean, and we had 76 tickets this month. Average response time was 6 hours and 17 minutes, and resolution was three days or 2 hours. So that's fluid, as you understand, depending on the complexity of the ticket and so forth. Other than that, we're just really refining, and beginning to plan and prepare for summer projects.
This PIMS information, where does that all go to?
Big brother, no, I'm just teasing, but it really is. Every single piece of information you possibly could think of, Mr. Redfoot has sent to the state. So they do a really nice job of collecting it, and then they take and parse that data and take what is required and send to the United States Department of Education.
Pennsylvania Information Management System.
Yep.
I knew what it was, I just wanted everybody else to know.
Yeah.
Understand exactly what.
All right. But it really is, I mean, they do collect every single piece of data that you could possibly.
No idea what they do. I mean, they collect some of us when they.
Never seen, based on PIMS information. you
Right.
do
Right.
Never. Any additional questions for Mr. Lee? Ms. Conrad?
Things this evening. At your places, I printed out a couple of pages from our health technical meeting. Pulled out some of the more pertinent ones, and I just wanted to point out that, I know I mentioned several, in several meetings, that we were looking at about 10% increase in healthcare. But based on our projection in November, that our actual increase was, is gonna be 7.8, which is still not great, but it's better than 10. So again, I won't go through all of that since I already sent it to you, but I wanted to point that out. The second document that's at your place is rather colorful. It's our cafeteria, contract is for next year. If you look at the green column, we were able to, at the last minute, change, when the state changed us to seamless summer option, which means free meals for students, we were able to change that budget, and we actually are showing a profit in our food service account. Not knowing that what next year is bringing, they're going to have to go back to free, paid, and reduced. So they are anticipating a 25% reduction in participation. So that number is not a very favorable number. You can see it's a $155,000 loss. Of course, we always hope that we're going to do better than that, and 25% is way too much. But this is our budget for next year.
I didn't share with you today, but the U.S. Senate is introducing a bill to continue.
I was just gonna mention that. It's called the Support Kids Not Red Tape Act. And it was introduced, I think, just this week, maybe. So this may change again last minute. I'm hoping that may happen, and we'll get 1 more year of free lunches for our students. But at this point, this is what will be submitted to the state. Will probably more than likely be approved by us in May. And then just hope for the best if something changes.
So our food cost is $193,000 projected next year, right?
Correct.
So what, out of that, how much of our budget do we get, not including, times like now when everything's free, but in a normal free reduced / full pay, what percentage of our lunch is subsidized by the federal government?
You mean the commodities that we're receiving?
Yes.
It's that credit below it, so $9,800. That's what the subsidy from the commodities that we receive from the federal government. And then on top of that, we have about, changes, of course, it's around 30% free and reduced student lunches if we weren't all free. So that is additional subsidy to us as well.
Okay, because I was gonna say for $9,800, well, we could go back to making, that's no slight to our lunch ladies, because they're just unpacking their frozen wholesome goodness, but I thought if it was $9,800, we could go back to Augustine's Pete. I mean, I'll tell you what, my daughter still talks about the one day they had Augustine's crust. Like, she's like, there was a mad rush. It was like they were stealing watches or something. She's like, when are we gonna have that again? I'm like, I don't know, I'll ask. I mean, you had me excited. You're like $9,800. Oh my God, we're done with this. But it's plus that would, if we didn't feed the tree bark, then we'd lose our 30% match probably on the free and reduced.
Yeah, and I don't have that figure off the top of my head. But
Well, that's lost.
It's
Can't blame me for asking. Before every meeting, my daughter's like, see about the pizza.
Done your diligence as a father.
Wait, one day.
Yeah. Point, Charlie. Thank you.
Dave's Donuts for 35 cents a print.
Go to Spunkmeyer Cookies in room 126.
Yeah.
That's a felony now.
It would be. It would be.
I should put little masks on the muffins.
Under, the treasurer's report, there are the quarterly reports that, recently, for the year to date and, bank account statements as well. Then the last thing I'd like to report on is that we opened bus bids on Friday, last Friday on April Fool's Day. And, fortunately, they, let's see, the bus that we just got, what, a month, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, that we ordered last July, we paid $88,000.
Nice.
The lowest price on this last bid was $96,000. And we do have, thankfully, 3 rebates available to us from the state, which are almost $27,000 each, $26,000 each. So we're able to use all 3 of those on both the bus that we just got for this year, and then if we order 2 more, which is what Mr. Rich and I would recommend, so we can use that rebate program again for those 2. So that's going to save us $52,000 on that $198,000 bill. So as crazy as those numbers sound to me, at least it's mitigated a little bit by initially we had thought that maybe we would order 1 now, get it in August for school, maybe. And then order 1 again in January because we have until March 4th to use that 3rd rebate. We had 1 year time at the time that they gave it, which was March 4th this year, to use all 3 of those. But there were all 3 companies that bid. 2 of the buses which happen to be the lowest price, are in stock or will be in stock within the 90 days window that we required in the bid. The other one, which is the next price down and 1 model year newer, wouldn't be here until about this time next year.
That's why it was 1 model year newer, because it's a 10 to 12 month wait. Though, if you choose to go with the recommendation from Jennifer, we already got the 1 on grounds. We're gonna get 2 more. You think back a few years ago where the state all of a sudden before school told us 3 buses were no good, okay? We run 12 runs a day. 6 of those runs will be 2018s or newer. What we've talked about with Joe, because you always used to do a 2-1, 2-1. What we've talked about with Joe is we run 12 runs. Those 12 buses, we want 10 years of age or younger. So in a 10-year span, 8 of those 10 years, you're going to have to order a bus a year. And 2 of those years, you're going to have 2 buses. And we're not counting the spares. Joe typically keeps about 4 spares. Those might be over 10 years old. As a matter of fact, Old Reliable number 79 is one of the buses that we're actually going to get rid of, and it's 20 years old. Can't kill it. Can't kill it. So I'm almost sad to see it go, but in order to get this rebate, just so the community knows, Joe has to drill the block, cut the frame, take pictures of the engine and the frame in unworking order. Well, they want them off the road. They don't want them at an auction and somebody else drive.
Government's the best.
Sounds like Casper Blunders to me.
So what did we average for a bus at the auction? 5?
So,
Like
Yeah.
25,
25.
2 to 25.
And that's throwing some money away, obviously.
And then also, after we disable these, we more funding is still scratch. With scratch price after all that.
Scratch highway.
And one last thing, on the agenda for next week are the bids that we opened on Friday. There's for all 3-year cycles for garbage, fuel and diesel, and propane.
they'd all expire on June 30th. So of course, we would have a fuel bid expiring this year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but, so those will all be on your agenda, as well as our supply orders, that we do, we skipped last year, but we've done every year since, forever. I still have 3 teachers to meet with, and people will be able to finalize. But,
All right. Lots of questions from the floor relative to agenda items. Okay. Next week, we'll be doing
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
we have someone online that raised a hand. I don't know if Ms. Disman has a question. I'm not sure.
What's it say?
She just raised her hand. I don't know if she wanted to speak.
Yeah. I just had a couple of questions and comments.
Yeah, are they relative to the agenda items, Jody?
No.
Okay, can you hold those until the end?
Yes.
Thank you. So next week we'll be voting on the approval of the board minutes, the treasurer's report, which will be going over the balance for the treasurer's report. We'll also have the investment report, the board of director quarterly reports that Jen gave us. Number 8 is the approval of the bill listings. So these are general fund bill listings for April 13th in the amount of $37,519.45. Checks and payments written manually in the month of March in the amount of $1,385,155.04 for a total of $1,422,674.49. You'll find those in our attachments. Also, the food service fund bill that Jen just presented to us. Item number 9, board action items, personnel. We do have some personnel items on here for transfer of sick days. Varsity basketball coach. Cafeteria head server. Professional development workshop seminars for staff. Bus and van driver substitute. Middle high school secretary position. And the varsity cheer coach. Lance, you missed it. Justin and that committee didn't have a chance to meet this week. They're going to meet on Tuesday.
We will have a name for the
Wednesday
Wednesday
meeting.
meeting. We're going to interview candidates on Tuesday.
Retirement and resignations. In there we have Patty Miles, Miss Antonio.
Is this,
Miss Terry.
is this the first time Mr. McFarland's put his name in?
Yes. And if you read, it's a definite name. So
Yeah, I
you
saw
give a notification, and you understand why he would do that.
Miss Dato. Patricia Miles. The department chair for the middle high school head teacher, junior class advisor. However, Miss Miles will remain in her position with the marching band. Miss Brenda Modi, idea paraprofessional. And Sharon Henry for substitute school nurse. What? By the way. Any questions around those? And then the last item is, additions to the volunteer non-instructional substitute listing. I would ask at this time that the board members stick around after the meeting to have the quick executive session around personnel. Item number 10 for next week, committee of the whole action items. School calendar revisions.
What we change on that? I didn't see.
I didn't have a chance to look at
On the
this.
calendar?
Yeah,
All right, so our February in-service day is going to go from one Friday to the next Friday. And, that day of school then is gonna go to the previous Friday. The one Friday block, there's tentative plans to try to put together a countywide in-service day. That's just to line up that day for everybody else, so that if it comes together, we can participate.
we'll also be approving the spring athletics, grant approval for coaches, students, finalize and/or teams in baseball, softball, track, field, participate in any fiscal year, sorry, my world. Calendar 22 Whitfield Championships finals, should they qualify. We'll also be voting on the student activities handbook. Next item is intergovernmental agreement with the Midwestern Intermediate Unit. Special experts. Yep. We'll also be voting on the IDA ARP section 611 sub-grant contract to approve the Attached Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, America Rescue Plan sub-grant contract with the intermediate unit. The award is $25,138.26. Item F will be a notice of adoption of approval of the LEA policy, procedures, and use of funds. Item G will be the agreement between the Falls School for Hearing and Speech for the attached 22-23 agreement with the Falls School of Hearing and Speech for professional services at a rate of $87 per hour. This is the same rate as we paid last year. Social studies textbook adoption for grades 3 through 5. This would be.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely would like to get do we have a copy of that? They're right there. Well, asking you shall receive. Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at that. I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but there are little nuances that I've read in some of my daughter's reading. You know, she'll tell me, she's like, you know, they always give us both sides of it, but you can tell which side they're really pushing. And, you know, on reading some of, for example, there was the science page, there was an agricultural argument. And it goes, you know, sure, this practice is good in some places, but then it lists like another 3 paragraphs on how it's bad. I was like, oh my God. So, you know, something like social studies is really easy to toggle one way or the other. So,
because we all eat food, but God forbid we use pesticides.
No,
I know the last history books we bought, they do have specific arguments both ways, and it can kind of make us in your position on whether you like the way they present it.
Right.
I know what you mean. I'd like to see them too.
But that'll be for the 3rd to 5th grades. It's for 6 years, and the subscription through the district is $17,684.82. We'll also be doing the 6th grade social study textbook. Again, this will cover U.S. history, Civil War to present. For grade 6, workbooks for 50 students at a cost of the district of $12,931.16. Again, 6-year proposal.
To Mr. Nemo's point, Mr. Redcliffe's point, we bought the northern version, not the Texas version. So.
It's not called the War of Northern Aggression.
No, the North wins the Civil War, just
Not on pause.
always keep your suspense. As Mr. Frangel will tell you, I root for winners.
Well, the bad part is there's not that many companies that even print these books anymore. It isn't like you have a. You don't have a ton of choice.
Well, textbooks are going the way of the inkwell. You know, obviously with Google Chrome and Google Chromebooks and the amount of information online and digital, that's definitely where the money's going.
I trust Google, but it's much like it depends. Yeah.
No censorship. Big movie magic.
Item J will be a vocational agricultural student. We'll be voting on granting permission for a Newcastle area school district student to attend Laurel Middle High School as a tuition student in the agricultural educational program.
Already next fall.
Yes, transportation will be the responsibility of the parent. Tuition will be paid by the student's home district. That is in our attachment. Student teacher.
No.
Will be voting on further Miss Clark from Grove City College to be a student teacher for middle high school under the supervision of Mr. Donald Rudd. Medical trust deposit rates. We will be recognizing the 22-23 medical trust deposit rates as follows: individual $837.83 per month, parent with children $1979.41 per month, two person $2,166.54 per month, a family for $2,359.93 per month, which is an increase of 7.80%. The increase for 21-22 was 5.62%.
Mr. Hammerschmidt, just for your knowledge, that means that a family plan costs $28,319.16. Benefits are part of a comprehensive compensation package.
I hear you.
Okay. Item number N, solicit bids for proposal for dishwasher and paving. Obviously, dishwashers for the cafeteria, pavings for the repairs, the elementary playground, tennis/basketball court as needed. Disposal of assets. We will be disposing of bus number 79, 83, and 84, and the disposal and or recycling of any unused or obsolete equipment. And Joe was kind enough to provide us with the VIN numbers respectively. Item O, bids and awards for supplies for the 22-23 school year. Recommendation, so this is what Jen mentioned in finish, is the awards of the following bids for custodial maintenance, science, art, tech ed, vocational, agricultural supplies for next year, and the breakdown is in our attachment. Item P, award refuge removal services for high school, elementary bus garage. Total estimate per year, $7,542. Prior year was $6,030.
25% increase.
And we also received bids from Aiken and Waste Management. I don't even want to read Q, which is the bid for gasoline and diesel. Let's see. Order gasoline diesel bid for July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025 to the lowest bidder, Gas Miner Fuel Services Incorporated, to the rack rate plus 0.1461 per gallon for unleaded gasoline, and a rack rate plus 0.1461 gallon for diesel fuel, plus an additional 3 cents per gallon for winterization as needed. The bid includes 1,000 gallons above ground tank for unleaded gasoline at no cost to the district, and a discount of 1 cent per gallon if paid within 10 business days. Other bid was received from Reed Oil.
What Glasgow on?
Between, south of Saxonburg, west of Freeport.
Oh, okay.
It's Polk.
Yeah.
So for example, we have an existing 500-gallon tank for gasoline. Okay. Obviously, to make it a little more convenient for them, we told them our approximate refill rate. So at no charge, they're going to bring one of their additional 1,000-gallon gasoline tanks. So we're going to triple our inventory, if you will, provide us a more stable resource and not impact any additional costs.
Are we gonna be able to put it within the same area as our current tank? Because if we can't, it's gonna be an additional cost.
Our tank now is underground.
Right.
This one would definitely be above ground. I would think.
So what's it gonna cost us to put the post in and all that other crap?
I don't know what they're gonna require for that.
And do you have to have a moat?
Well,
You have
those
to have-
tanks usually come with their own dikes.
Yeah.
Like it's a self-contained welded box the
Okay.
tank sits in, so that's not, they're on a level surface. But
I'm just worried about what are they gonna make us do for safety around them. And what's that gonna cost?
if it's as logical, what we gotta do with bus 79, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
Imagine that taking a good run for 20 years and just going.
Makes good sense.
But that's something that we might wanna ask.
About that, yeah, I'm not sure.
Ideally, we could actually put it behind our fuel tank right now.
If we
That would
could.
be in the grass and just extend the fence around it. So there's protection on inside the fence. We have one. There'll be no traffic out on the grass side.
Right.
I mean, just let you explain that maybe because with our 500 gallon with that old pump down there, it's hard to fill the 100-gallon bus. If they're there all day, that's probably like 1.0 gallons. It's slow.
Why'd you change the filter?
We've had a lot of problems with that over the years. And it's just now we got more vehicles with gas, 2 buses heating up a lot. And then we got vans going swiftly every day. They fill up every day. So 500 gallon, they're not here every other day. It's like we're getting low. The buzzer's going off in a garage. We've got 100 gallons left. And I got 2 other vans and all the other vans are running around. So the gas goes fast around.
No, I guess that's what I'm asking, right? Because if they're gonna bring us another tank, we might as well make it, put you in a situation where you can at least fill 2 at a time.
Yeah, I don't know what one of them tanks, is there gonna be a pump on it, a pump out? That's the things we need to find out, because it's not gonna just be a tank sitting there by itself. If they're willing to put something there for no charge, that's awesome.
Yeah.
They're going to make it up in less trips.
Yeah, because that's the question I had, because this company's not directly right here. They call and say, I need to do it right now. And they're not there yet.
Yeah, they'll say, see you in 3 days.
And Reed is even, we had trouble. They sometimes can't get in the next day. They know when I call them, we're out. When my alarm goes off at 75 gallons, and they may not even pump all that out of the tank. But we don't want to get into nothing in the ground. They want to protect anything above ground. Cool.
Yeah.
I forgot to put the last bid price on there, but was rack plus 10%, 10 cents. That was done in April 19.
Again, almost 33%.
Now, I can't find anything that said what the rack rate was back then, but it's $3.15 unleaded and $4.30.
Okay, item R, award of school bus bid. We already covered, big mess. We're bid on liquid propane So it's going roughly from 49.5 cents per gallon to 60 cents per gallon for next year. All right. Then item T, copy of lease agreements. When will we have the rest of the information on that?
So, I'm sorry, I should have handled that as well. I received, actually Rob and I received, the second one this afternoon. So I'm hoping that we were told by the third company that we would have it by Friday.
Okay.
So I'd like to be able to send all that out to everybody, assuming I do get it on Friday, but we'll definitely have it before.
Okay. And can you walk us through that process a little bit?
Possibly. So we have 6 machines under lease current, well, 8 total. 6 of them are on a lease that's ongoing. 2 of them are on an extended lease right now until we make our decision. And then we have 2 copiers that we own, and we pay a maintenance agreement on all of them, which is included with our lease agreement. So in order to simplify things, we had asked for some quotes to take all 10 of those machines, the 2 we own are not, one of them is inoperable right now, and renew them all so they're all in one, rather than having to have 2 here and 6 here and 2 more here. So we didn't do a formal request for proposal. It's just a quote, just to see if this is even beneficial. If not, we can continue on the lease extension that we have on the 2, or renew those 2 plus the 2 that are inoperable. So we're looking at all different options to try to get the best price, best units, and the longevity. Most of the copiers are 15-month leases, which the ones that we had and have are those. So they would be new 60-month leases. Any number of them, depending on which way we're gonna.
6 or 8.
Yeah, we're gonna go. So, we've gotten 2 back and we're.
Any additional questions? Okay. We'll move to agenda item number 11. This is new business.
I just had a couple of questions, comments, concerns, I guess. First of all, I wanted to know what the status is regarding hiring a new technology teacher at the high school.
That's a budgetary decision for next year that hasn't been made yet.
Do you have, I mean, with class schedules being made, do you, like, when do you anticipate making that decision?
Again, I'm not available to comment any further than that at this point.
Okay. And my second concern is, and I mean, I did talk to Mr. Rich, I did talk to Ms. Bell already about this, but, you know, I wanted to let the board know, as a parent of a student who receives speech therapy, I have, you know, some major concerns about how the handling of, I know Mrs. Harris resigned and the new teacher, Mrs. Jacobs, can't start until the fall. But, you know, we have someone coming in once a week to work with these students. And, you know, my concern is you're trying to cram a week's worth of students into one day, which has created, the groups that she's working with, you know, have more than doubled. You know, when my kids go to speech, they're with twice as many kids as they were. So they're not, and they're all working on something different. So, you know, best case scenario, they're getting maybe 7 minutes of speech. You know, and we're coming off a pandemic where, you know, during the pandemic, these kids are receiving speech through Google Classroom or over the telephone, which wasn't ideal either. So, you know, I have concerns about how this is going to affect these kids. And, you know, is there any way that someone can be brought in an additional day?
If there was, we would have had them. We explored what we thought would be numerous options, and we have one option. What I can tell you in relative to our discussion is, we are focusing on, compliance, with IEPs that are coming due between now and the end of the year. Keep in mind that we say a year's worth of sessions, that's a 12-month period, not a school year. So not knowing when your child's IEP is due, those that are due in the fall may have some additional sessions prior to a due date in October. But what we are doing is focusing on compliance between now and the end of the year, and then onboarding our new personnel, be at full strength at the beginning of next year.
Is there just not someone available? Is that the reason that they're not having
Yeah.
some additional day?
Numerous providers were contacted, and this was it.
Yeah, unfortunately, trying to find substitutes and people that can jump in is still very difficult.
Okay, I mean, but, you know, like I said, coming off the pandemic and everything else, I'm just really concerned how this is going to affect these kids. But
As
thank you.
people on the board are, Jody, even beyond just speech, right? I'm worried about how are we gonna make up the time in the basics, mathematics, reading, you know? That's a tough one.
But your concerns are duly noted, Jody, and, you know, if we had a better solution, which would have more personnel, we would have definitely taken advantage of that.
Anything else, Jody?
No, thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to, any questions from anyone else in related to non-agenda item? No? Okay. All right, well then I will call adjournment for everyone. I would ask that the board stick around for a few minutes.
When we take the section, and also, you belly and Mr.